Welcome to the kitchen where the guy cooks. I'm Blair, and this is my lovely wife, Jennifer.
Hello, everybody.
She is here to help me today to make turkey stuffing.
Oh.
That's right. Jen is not a huge fan of stuffing typically. So tell us, what don't you like about stuffing?
I find it to be a dull, dry, honestly, for the amount of calories, very boring side dish. I've never gotten why people like stuffing, to be honest with you.
All right, so there's my challenge, and she's going to grade this at the end here.
I am.
So I can solve 2 of the 3 problems.
Okay.
Because there is going to be not a lot of healthiness about this. People see the half and half sitting right here.
Hey, fair enough. It's Thanksgiving. I get that. I get that.
Okay.
I get that.
But for, you're somebody that likes savoriness. So
I
with
do.
this stuffing recipe, what I'm going to do is use leeks plus onion.
Okay.
Plus quite a bit of celery here.
Good so far.
We have the typical thyme and sage, fresh herbs. Then I've got toasted walnuts.
I like walnuts.
Got apple.
Okay.
And I've got breakfast sausage.
So we're good so far.
Yep. And then we're using 2 cups of that special gold
Ooh.
turkey stock that we made yesterday.
That made the house smell really
Yes,
nice
it did.
yesterday. I have to admit. Okay, you got me so far.
And then for everybody at home, this is a recipe where we want to replicate making stuffing that tastes like it came out of a bird, but we want plenty of it to feed, the whole family. Because typically you stuff a bird, unless you've got a 50-pound turkey, which we're not doing, you only get just a little bit of stuffing.
Is this also safer in the fact that it's not been stuffed inside the bird too?
Yeah, there's a lot of problems with stuffing a bird with, all the good stuff you put into stuffing. So this solves that by taking the turkey wings, which I removed from the turkey we're brining currently.
Okay.
And we'll put this on top of the stuffing and then put it into the oven.
It's not buffalo wings, it's turkey wings.
Well, in Buffalo, sometimes the turkey wings are almost the size.
That is true. We grow them big around here.
Yes, we do. All right, so let's get started.
Okay.
Our first step is just to cut up the bread. I've got 1.5 pounds of hearty white sandwich bread, and we're just going to cut this into 1/2 inch, 3/4 of an inch, just at nice bite-sized pieces. Now I theoretically want to make this pretty. I do try to use a serrated knife so it goes through easier. For the bread, I like to use 2 baking sheets. We want some breathing room around the bread. So we take our cubed bread, spread it evenly on the baking tray. Now we're going to put it in a 250-degree oven. I have the racks spaced evenly, thirds in the middle. Right, now is the time to chop up the vegetables. I like to do this preparation before I handle any of the meat and such, and before I get the pans hot. And that's because I do much better and much more successful if everything's all chopped up, ready to go in my little pans here to the side when I'm actually cooking. If you're a really good cook, you can thread it in between, absolutely no problem. For this recipe, we want to do a really fine dice on the celery and onion, and then do a real thin cut on the leeks, and that's so that it spreads that nice flavor throughout the entire stuffing. For the celery, I like to cut them in strips about 1/4 inch wide, and then cut crosswise. That makes for a very nice fine dice and even. For the onion, I like to cut in half and then work from the root end and cut vertically first, and then cut a couple horizontal stripes through that. Again, we're going for about 1/4 inch, 1/8 of an inch fine dice on the onion, and then just cut through the onion from there, and it provides a really nice fine chop on it. For the leek, we're going to cut the root end off. Then we're going to cut the leek in half. Check to see if there's any sand or grit in there. You may need to rinse it in the sink if there is. Then we're going to cut across the leek thinly. For the apple, we're going to go for about 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch small squares out of the apple. All right, the next step is to roast the walnuts very quickly. Just spread out about 1 cup of walnuts onto a baking sheet, and that's going to go into a 375-degree oven for about 8 minutes. Should do it. Time to get cooking. I have the controversial wings from Percy right here. We're going to use them in this stuffing recipe. First, You want to stab them with a knife a number of times. If you have any aggressions and stress about Thanksgiving, now's the time to get them out. Jen is laughing at me hysterically. But it's true, we want all the fat to render out of these wings right into that stuffing and make a wonderful flavor. All right, now it's time to head to the stove, and we're gonna brown these wings for about 5 minutes on each side. We're going to place the turkey into medium-high skillet. This will provide just that nice bit of braised flavor to the wings, loosen them up before you put them into the oven. It's been 10 minutes. I flipped the wings halfway through, and now we're going to set them off to the side. We've created some nice browning. We're going to set them into a bowl. Next step, we've left the browning and the fat in the pan from the turkey. Adding in 1 pound of breakfast sausage. I went with just the plain straight breakfast sausage. If you wanted to, I think they also offer like a sage and savory mix, which would be good in this as well. And you want to break the sausage up into little pieces. It's been 7 minutes. We've got a nice browning. I've stirred the sausage several times. The goal here is to brown the sausage and leave some of the fond on the bottom of the pan. I'm going to remove the sausage onto a paper-lined plate we're going to set aside. I've left the fat that rendered out of the sausage and the turkey wings in the pan. I've turned the heat down to medium. On top of that fat, I'm adding 3 tablespoons of butter. I promised Jen this was not going to be a healthy meal. And she is shaking her head. All right, once the bubbling subsides from the butter, it's time to add our vegetables. So here's our onions from earlier. We have our leeks. And we have our celery. To improve the softening, we're going to add 1 teaspoon of salt. Oh, now it is starting to smell like Thanksgiving. It's been about 8 minutes. We've softened the veggies here. They look beautiful and smell wonderful. It is time to add our aromatic herbs. So I have 2 tablespoons of thyme, 2 tablespoons of sage, fresh sage, and 1/2 teaspoon of pepper. We want to stir this in and heat it through for about 30 seconds. We just want to start to smell that deeply. 1 cup of our homemade turkey stock from yesterday or 2 days ago. And it is liquid gold. Just want to stir that through and heat it a little bit. Now it's time to move over to the counter and assemble the stuffing. Exciting time. I have the dried bread cubes from yesterday, and we are adding that mixture of the veggies and the vegetable stock right into the bowl with the bread. In addition to that, now we need to add some binding agent to it, and we're going to do that with some eggs, some half and half, and some chicken stock. So I'm going to add 1/2 cup of half and half to 4 eggs, 1 more teaspoon of salt, and then 1 more cup of the liquid gold turkey stock that you made at home. Now we want to whip the eggs, the half and half, and the turkey stock together using a whisk. And we're going to add this to the bread mixture as well. And we're going to add our 1 cup of roasted walnuts and this beautiful breakfast sausage that we browned up earlier. Last thing is to add the apples from earlier into the mix. We want to mix this fully together so that everything's even. Oh, I can't tell you how good this smells. That's just amazing. It is time to assemble this. We are buttering the inside of a baking dish with 1 tablespoon of butter. Now we're just going to dump the mixture into the dish, spread it out evenly. Now is the time for the magic trick of getting the inside the bird stuffing effect by cooking it in a large casserole dish and having tons of stuffing. And that's done with the mysterious chicken wing or turkey wings here. And as I mentioned on the turkey video, you can also substitute these turkey wings with chicken wings and chicken thighs if you don't have access to the turkey wings and you want to save them from your bird for the presentation. I also have the neck from the turkey. We're just layering these on top of the stuffing so that as this heats in the oven, they will dribble out all their goodness into the stuffing. And from here, we're going to cover with foil. Now is the time to place it into a 375-degree oven for about 1 hour. And it's time to take the stuffing out of the oven and remove the wings and the cover. Ooh, that's looking good. In this step, I like to just take the wings out, and then we're going to put it back in the oven for about 10 more minutes, and it's just going to dry up a little bit of the moisture on the top here and give a little more crust to the stuffing. I'm really excited. It's finally done. Last 10 minutes in the oven. Time to pull it out. Oh. Gives just a little bit of extra crust at the top for that extra 10 minutes. Worth taking that extra step. Now it's time to taste. Jen is back. Family food critic.
I am.
We have your favorite.
Oh,
Okay.
yes, I challenged. I did challenge. Let's see how he
Not
does.
her favorite. Had a number of challenges to overcome. Let's see how I did.
Let's see.
Oh.
I do have to say, you have overcome a lot of the challenges that I have had with stuffing. This is, I'd actually eat this.
She'd eat it.
I'd eat it.
You have no idea how far I've come, folks.
Yeah, I typically would. Still is not top of my fave list, but you did overcome. It's definitely got more complex flavors in here with the walnuts. The sausage is really good, and the I think there's apples in here.
The apples and the leeks are kind of that secret ingredient that gives that extra kind of savoriness that you don't expect typically in a stuffing.
Yeah, and I think that also adds just a nice texture and difference that just doesn't have it so dried out. I would give this an A-, and
An A-, I can't complain.
And if you love stuffing, you're going to think I'm just absolutely off my rocker, and you're going to give it an A+. But you actually did accomplish a lot of the challenges that I had with it. So good job.
Great. Well, thank you very much. Have fun with this recipe, and let me know how you do with it. This recipe is available on my website with all the details. I love to hear from viewers, so leave a comment. The website is theguycooks.com. And thank you, everybody, for watching.
Thanks, everybody.